Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. WTF is Unholy Heights. This is a Japanese indie game. Generally don't do them, but I got it sent over from the site Playism, that for the most part hosts a bunch of Japanese indie titles. Probably best known for hosting La Milana, which is a very good game. And it sent this over as like, I would like to check this out. It's by a company called Petit Depoto, which is a 4-man Japanese indie dev. The name was apparently inspired by their refrigerator logo. I don't even know exactly what that's all about, but hey. And it's part apartment management simulator and part tower defense, which intrigued me a little bit. The point is, you are Satan, obviously, and who else would you be? And Satan is apparently a slumlord, having got rather bored of the hell life, and decided to create a tenement block. And you summon various monsters into the tenement block to live. You have to tend to their needs, and then you can use them to kill adventurers that try and steal all your stuff. You try to attract progressively better monsters with higher requirements. The happier you make the monsters, the more powerful they get, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, it was an intriguing concept, I gotta say, and since they are offering the game for $4 when it comes out on the 16th, I said to myself, well, that's not a terrible proposition. The options menu, on the other hand, certainly is. It is a 2D game, so again, we can kind of forgive it, but resolution only goes up to 720p. This is kind of a strange thing, but not entirely out of the ordinary for Japanese titles, like especially indies that I've actually played. They tend to have very limited resolution options. A little odd. You can at least window it or not, but yeah, it would have been nice to actually have full 1080p resolution and a bunch of different resolution options. This should run well on a potato, in theory, but who knows, PC architecture's a little weird like that. So, let's go into it. Welcome to my tenement block. The sun's looking a little creepy. Like, would you trust that? No. I mean, look at it. The way that he's staring is just with this kind of forlorn desire that slightly borders on the obsessive, and quite frankly, I'm not comfortable with it. This is my amazing tenement block. I actually have 2 stories. You can get more than that, and each time you expand your actual apartment complex, you can house 4 more rooms, and then you'll get attacked by harder creatures, harder enemies that you have to deal with. If the creatures are able to beat the guys in your apartment, then they will steal pretty much all of your money, and also they will kill a bunch of your tenants, which sounds fine when you think, oh, you can just get new ones, but as you keep them in your apartment complex, they will get a bit more trusting of you. You can kind of charge them higher rent, and they'll also actually gain some stats. So some of my best creatures are these 2 succubi, who have actually had a kid, a small succubus here, who hopefully will grow into a big succubus at some point. I'm not going to judge. As far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty liberal about these kind of things. And I have decked this room out. This has got a lot of stuff. So all of this stuff here is furniture, for the most part. And there are certain categories, like default categories, like kinds of wallpaper, which, well, let's just say the kind of wallpaper that is liked by certain creatures, not liked by others. They all have the kind of individual likes and dislikes. And then you've got a bunch of stuff down the bottom, which can include all manner of different things, and you can pick whatever you want there. It's mostly hobby stuff, and you can also get exercise equipment and things like that, which can be used to level up their stats. They also, of course, have health. If they take damage in a fight, then they will have to gradually recuperate. And some of these creatures have special needs. If you get succubi without an air conditioning unit, for instance, you're in serious trouble. I tried getting heated floors, but apparently that was a bad idea, and they complained about being too hot, and then they ended up getting sick and losing all their HP, which was not exactly ideal. So it gets more complicated the higher level creature you get. I think the best creatures I've currently got are the succubi and the zombies. And now I'm going to be attacked. As you can see, the mascots of the game, the cheapies, are in there. At the moment, it looks like these guys are making out. Could we just stop with that? Kinda gotta get to the murdering right now. The bonking can be saved till later. Thankfully, it's only 1 adventurer. This shouldn't be too difficult. Gonna send my cheapie out there. Alright, so the tower defense aspect of the game, which in this case was very, very easy because it was only 1 adventurer, involves clicking on the doors. If you click on the door and the monster is home, then the monster will come out and fight for you. You can then also click on the monster to send them back, assuming that they have an access route to get there. This is fairly important because unless you want all of your monsters to die, you'll want to send them back on low HP, so they can gradually start to regenerate, which takes ages, by the way, unless you buy consumables for them. And each monster also has a different range. So there's melee monsters, there's medium range monsters, and then there's long range monsters. So you'll generally want to kind of set up a little formation. If you let them walk past certain doors, you can flank them and then open the doors as they go past, and then you can have a bunch of people beating on them, which is pretty fantastic. This is also one of the main ways that you actually get money. And you can summon adventurers to your apartment complex by using the quest board right here. You can select a quest. So let's say I want some new furniture. In this case, it's going to give me that. This is all money, and the actual difficulty of it is dependent on how much it gives you and the grade. In this case, I'm going to go kill the dealer of the desert to get some new furniture to unlock some more stuff. So I'm going to increase my speed up here. All these monsters right here are looking at the board to see if there's any space to live here. There isn't. You can kick monsters out if you so desire, and you might want to do that if they don't pay rent. Some of them don't. This room's not too bad. I think I could probably afford to push the rent up just a little bit. You can have cheap rent as well, which kind of means that they're more likely to pay it. It also will make them happier as well. I've got content satisfaction here. All these guys are so-so. But if you click on them, they'll tell you what they want. This guy wants a vegetable garden. It's a bit overkill, isn't it? Actually, it is. It's surprisingly expensive. Alright, but he's a fairly high-tier creature, so I'll probably give him his vegetable garden eventually. And room 1 or 2 is behind on rent again, as always. They are a bunch of slackers. Eventually they catch up, so I guess it's not too bad. Alright, so the dealer of the desert should be happening fairly shortly, so we can just speed up to actually get to that point. It will be here eventually. Anytime now. There we go. Alright, so we are now going to absolutely obliterate this little adventurer right here. Alright, so if I want to set up a little formation at the front, I want my zombies out. Now you'll notice there's actually 2 sets coming out there, which is because that zombie has a girlfriend. So if your creatures get lovers, then what tends to happen is they will move in, which means that you have 2 sets of creatures you can use to fight, which is very, very useful. Admittedly, they'll get a little bit unhappy if their lover gets horribly murdered, so they can also have kids who I assume will then eventually grow up into adults. I have no idea how that works. That's the succubus kid wandering off. I can now buy paper doll decorations. Thank God for that. How incredible. Alright, so the question is, what's the gameplay value? Bearing in mind this is a $4 proposition, which is not exactly that much. It is very clearly a casual game with some nice little ideas thrown in. It kind of reminds me to some degree of some of the stuff like Dungeon Village and Game Dev Story, the kind of really light Kairosoft stuff that seems to have that kind of nerd appeal in the sense that it appeals to core gamers with its content. I can get you a love hammock, that's fine, there you go. Can I afford an inverted cross for this room? I think I probably can. I will have to get rid of a decoration though, I'm afraid. There are only limited slots available. It's just how it is. The inverted cross attracts devils, I believe, demons to your apartment, which is always good if that's what you're looking for. Yeah, so it does remind me of the Kairosoft games. I think the actual subject matter generally appeals to people like myself because you're playing the bad guy, so actually taking care of a bunch of monsters is an interesting twist on things. And it does have those little tower defense aspects. Admittedly, those aspects are fairly shallow. Let's be entirely frank, there isn't an awful lot of depth to the game, but you will be surprised every now and again with what you find. The idea that some creatures just don't get along with other creatures, and that's going to cause a problem. The idea that different weather sets and events actually cause different creatures to gain power or lose power. The water elementals tend to do very well in the rain. It turns out the succubi do as well. So actually, while it's raining, let's try something a little bit harder. Land shark. There we go. Let's go for that one. I feel I have a pretty good creature lineup. So I think I can take these guys, and there's a lot of money on the line as well. So I'm going to let them kind of walk past here, and then I'll set up the defense over here. So there's the 2 zombies and some of my best succubus, and then here comes the flanking maneuver. There we go. And as you can see, these guys are just a little bit tougher. The little birdie almost died there. That would have been bad. There we go. We can eliminate them. There's going to be a few more waves of that, so there you go. But as I say, I do gain power in the rain, and that's nice. There's nice little features here and there. But it is most assuredly a casual experience. But it's surprisingly compelling, and I think that any kind of management or sim-ish game will have that element, and the Japanese do seem to be pretty good at it, surprisingly enough. It's a nice little combo, honestly, for $4. I've put a good few hours into it, and I haven't regretted my time as of yet. It's got decent humor. and the concept is nicely executed. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. I like the art style as well. I mean, the fact that the water elementals walk around in little baths is quite cute, for instance. Some of the sound effects are irritating as hell, including that. I like the music. That's definitely very cutesy, but some of the sound effects make me want to rip my ears out, so it's kind of unfortunate that that's the case. Some people might say, well, it kind of looks like an iOS game. Yeah, I mean, it could very, very easily work on iOS. I certainly don't see why not. But as it stands, it's on PC, and it's kind of good that we're not missing out on it, because it is a little bit of fun. What am I sucky about? I just got murdered. That's not okay. There we go. Wigglina, I am so sorry. We just killed the heads of IT. There we go. Oh, well, give happy wallpaper, one would assume, because yeah, your girlfriend just got murdered. I'm very sorry about that. So is the way of things. I think the nicest thing, or at least the most enjoyable thing you can have about a game like this is to have little stories be created and kind of get attached to the people that are in the rooms, which sounds really strange, especially coming from me. I'm a very mechanics-orientated gamer, but it's very difficult for me not to have a little bit of a chuckle at some of the stuff that happens here. I think a long time ago in this room, room 103, was this elemental who was just rocking it out. It was like my most powerful creature. He was really happy all the time. He had a great room that was designed for him, so he would always rock it in combat. He'd fight in the rain, so he'd be amazing. And I got really upset when he got horribly murdered by adventurers, and I think, quite frankly, that was an unfair thing to have happen. So, I don't know. You get these nice little stories, the elementals arguing with the abyssals and things like that and getting upset, and that doesn't actually indicate any kind of gameplay value whatsoever. Let's be entirely frank about that. That is not gameplay value. No, it isn't. Uh-oh, you better get back in there. There we go. But it is the subject matter that does give it a little bit of fun value. And I don't think you can really ignore that when you're looking at a game that focuses so much on a very specific theme and gimmick going on with it. You know, at the end of the day, it's a cutesy, fun experience. I am not going to try and detract from that. It's exactly what it is. And horribly murdering adventurers is really quite satisfying, as you can see. So I think you'll get a good few hours of fun out of this game, especially for $4. It's also nice to support the Japanese indie scene. There's a demo available over on Playism-games.com, and the save file from the demo will transfer to the main game when it comes out on the 16th. So it's a nice bit of casual fun, what can I say? It's got the depth of a paddling pool, but for what it is, I have had some fun with it. And I can certainly very much appreciate the art style and the thematics of the title. My name's been TotalBiscuit, taking a look at Unholy Heights. Available on Playism-games.com for $4 on the 16th of August. I'll see you next time.